Next up is Class C or Class Charlie airspace. The shape and ceiling of each Class Charlie airspace are different for each airport as they are specifically tailored to the airport they surround, kind of like Class Bravo. Usually, Class C or Class Charlie consists of a 5 nautical mile radius core that extends from the surface up to 4,000 feet AGL. So this is normally, right? This is kind of when they're planning out these airspace, they see, okay, here's an airport right here. We're gonna do that's a really bad circle, but that's a 5 nautical mile radius, and then 4,000 feet AGL above this airport. That's kind of the basis of where they start planning their Class C. And then there's a 10 nautical mile radius shelf above that that kind of looks like this. And we'll show you an example here. I know this is a horrible drawing, but they basically, when they're planning a Class Charlie airspace around an airport, they start with this and then they look at traffic patterns and they say, okay, well, we need to kind of make a little piece here or, extend this radius out here. Again, sorry, this is horrible drawing, but you kind of get the picture of what I'm going with there. Um, let's see here. Let me erase this stuff. All right. Okay. So it usually consists of that 5 nautical mile radius core that extends from the surface up to 4,000 feet AGL, as well as a 10 nautical mile radius shelf area that I kind of drew out that extends from no lower than 1,200 feet up to 4,000 feet AGL. Again, this is still charted in MSL. So even though this is how they design it, right, it's still going to be charted in MSL. And I'll show you an example of what I mean. Don't get that confused. Class C airspace are marked by a solid magenta line. So we saw the solid blue lines on your sectional charts for Class Bravo. Class Charlie is solid magenta. So they're going to look like this. Okay. And again, you have these fractions that tell us the floor and the ceiling of the Class Charlie. So this is 40 over SFC. SFC, what does that mean? That means the surface. And then again, the 40 is in hundreds of feet MSL. So you have Class Charlie is from the surface to 4,000 feet MSL in this circular area, right? And that looks like it could be that 5 nautical mile radius thing that we talked about, right? And then we have a shelf here that's kind of only on this side, right? It's only over here on this side, and this is listed as 40 over 15. So that shelf is from 1,500 to 4,000 feet. Okay. And then what does that look like? Oh, one more thing here I want to mention. You might see, so sometimes the Class C airspace will be denoted with a T, as you can see here, circled in blue. So you have T over 15. So this can happen with other airspaces as well, but it is most common to see them with Class C or D airspaces when they're under a Class Bravo. So you can see this Class Bravo is over here, and then you have this Class Charlie for this airport over here. So you got a lot of airspaces going on in this area, right? So usually when a Class Charlie or Class Delta is underneath a Class Bravo, the T, what does the T tell you? Well, just the T tells you that the lower airspace continues up until the upper airspace begins, no matter what altitude that is. So in this example, right in this area, we have Class C from 1,500 because the floor is 15, up to T. So what is T? Well, T is determined by wherever the Class Bravo starts in this area. So if I look around, I believe this area, in this area, Class Bravo starts at 30 or 3,000 feet. So in this area, we have Class Charlie from 1,500 all the way up right until the 1 foot before the Class Bravo starts at 3,000. And then inside here, right, we have Class Charlie from 1,500 to 2,099 feet, because if you look right here, this area of the Class Bravo starts at 2,1 or 2,100 feet. Okay, so you might see that T, that's what that means on Class D or C airspace. All right, so now going back to our example and giving it a 3D look, which can be really helpful. Again, you see this kind of inner core here, starts at the surface and then goes up. Once we get up to 1,500 feet, we have this outer shelf that extends, right? Up here, it kind of extends outward in this outer shelf up to 4,000 feet. So why would they do it like this? Well, there's probably aircraft entering in this way into the Class Charlie airspace for, approach or descents that they want to, um, talk to and be under control of the airplane. And this is in Santa Barbara, so usually takeoffs and landings are, westward because the wind is coming in from there. So that makes sense, right? The aircraft are going to come in this way. So just like we showed before with the Class Bravo, they kind of want to track with the descent and approach of the aircraft. Okay, some more stuff with Class Charlie. The minimum weather requirements for VFR flight within a Class Charlie airspace are a visibility of at least 3 statute miles. So again, that was the same thing as Class Bravo. And then where Class Bravo was clear clouds, Class Charlie is 500 feet below, 1,000 feet above, and 2,000 feet horizontal distance from clouds to remain VFR in Class Charlie airspace. Each pilot must establish and maintain two-way radio communications with the control tower and have an operating mode 3A or mode S transponder with automatic altitude reporting mode C, which is an encoding altimeter, and ADS-B out when departing, entering, or flying in within a Class C airspace. In Class C airspace, when at or below 2,500 feet AGL and within 4 nautical miles of the primary airport, the airspeed limit is 200 knots indicated. And then the minimum pilot qualification is a student pilot certificate. So student pilots can fly solo without an endorsement in Class Charlie airspace. They obviously have to have the endorsement to solo, but you don't need an additional endorsement that says you can solo in this airspace. That's only for Class Bravo. So this is the minimum pilot qualification. So obviously private pilot, IFR, commercial. Fun fact, IFR is actually not a pilot certificate. It's a rating add-on. But anyways, so this is just the minimum, right? Obviously private pilots, commercial pilots can also fly in Class Charlie.